everybody, it's Roy and Lily from 4-Star Homes, and if you look around, there's no Lily. As many of you might know, she's been doing her kitchen transformation project since the beginning of August, and she's busy right now putting up backsplash on the walls.
Hi everybody, sorry I'm today very busy.
That's all right. You can take a look at some of the work she's been doing there. So we're going to go ahead and let her continue working because she wants to get a lot of this done today. That's all right, everybody. While she's working, we're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss a very controversial topic right now, and that's parks that are being bought out by investors. Before I even start on this, I could hear somebody right now going, "Oh, just solve the problem. Just buy a manufactured home already on land." And absolutely, folks, listen, if the thought of a manufactured home park getting sold out from under you is something that really scares the devil out of you, this might be a good option. However, if you take a look at this, you'll see that the prices of these particular homes on land generally run almost double, if not more, than what the houses in the land lease communities cost. Secondly, there's really not a whole lot of those parks available here in the state of Florida. And the ones that there are, there's generally not a lot of houses that come up for sale. And you can see that the selection here is quite limited. Now, I spent about the last 5 weeks doing nothing but researching this. And all of a sudden, I look on YouTube, and another popular real estate YouTuber by the name of Christina Smallhorn, she goes by the name of the Real Estate Whisperer. She put up a video on the same exact topic. And I'm going to tell you what, this lady just did a fantastic job. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to that particular video in the description. I highly suggest that you watch that video. Now, Christina covered about 75% of the material that I originally had planned to show you guys, so I'm not going to rehash over all of that. What I'm going to do is show you my take on what's going on with this particular situation. But before I do so, I'm going to ask you to really excuse me here. This is a very, very sensitive topic, and there's a good possibility that some things I say may offend certain individuals. And believe me, I am not out to hurt anybody's feelings or to blow anybody's dreams out of the water, okay? I just want to give you a very, very realistic situation of what is actually going on here in the state of Florida as far as mobile home parks being bought out, okay? You know, if you go onto YouTube and just search for mobile home parks getting sold out, I'm telling you what, look at this. You're going to find many, many, many videos describing that. But in addition to that, okay, as you scroll down, now all of a sudden you get into people here who are showing you how to become millionaires by purchasing out mobile home parks. Now, as I went through, I probably watched like almost all the videos I could find on YouTube concerning this particular topic. And there were 5 things in common that I found out from one video to the next. And I'm going to explain those to you. All of the clips that I'm going to show you were taking off all the different videos I watched. And the first thing I found in common is that most of the parks being sold are older, smaller parks. Most of these parks seem to be small mom and pop parks, which brings me to my second item that I found in common, and that's almost all the houses in these parks are pre-1976, meaning they were probably built in the 1960s and the 1970s. The third thing that I found to be in common was that most of these parks are low-income housing.
Some are disabled veterans. Others are elderly residents on fixed incomes and young families on some form of public assistance.
Well, I get $876 a month, and $500 goes to the landlord.
We're on fixed income. I make $1,000 a month.
Laura and her husband are on a fixed income for disability.
I'm not going to be able to do it. I mean, I'm on a fixed income.
The fourth item that I found to be in common is that a lot of these homes had very, very poor living conditions.
A lot of these places have termites. We have rats, so we have a lot of rats here. We've killed 18 ourselves in the last 6 months.
Don't be shocked too much, please. This is what she lived in for 3 years. She moved out 3 weeks ago. Look at the cockroaches. that this lady was living in.
And the last item that I found in common with all of these parks is that many of them just had poor management.
The owner, he used to put money into this park, and it's a loss. It's just a total loss. That's why they're as is when you move in. They're rented as is.
It's been operating without a permit for months after the state suspended it indefinitely due to unsanitary conditions.
It's so horrible, but we have nowhere else to go.
She says the mobile home park has had problems from electrical to plumbing, and even though she's been making several repairs herself, when she received the eviction notice, her heart sank. Crystal is now unsure where to go next.
You know, that is really a sad state of affairs because everybody's entitled to have a place to live. But you know what? I think a lot of the problems here just isn't people buying mobile home parks. It's basically the lack of affordable housing for the low income. And that's a problem that's plaguing the entire nation, not just here in Florida. But let me show you something else that I found. There is actually a website called mobilehomeparkstore.com that lists nothing but mobile home parks for sale. And when I scroll down here and I look for the state of Florida, there's actually 38 parks for sale. Now, folks, that might sound like a lot, but remember, there are 1,600 parks here in the state of Florida alone, so that's a very, very, very tiny percentage. But again, it still exists. All right, so when I took a look at some of these listings that they had on here, one thing I wanted to point out, one thing in common I found is like this particular park has 12 lots. This one has 92 lots. This one has 20 lots. This one has 20 lots. I scrolled down a little bit more and I got 16 lots. This one has 11 lots. Again, guys, take a look at this. These all appear to be small mom and pop parks, probably with lot rents of $300 or $400. These are all up for sale. And here's the really sad thing about it is that I read a lot of the descriptions on some of these parks for sale, and the realtors are encouraging people to buy them and raise the lot rents, okay, to maximize their return on investment. So again, the one thing you don't see on these lists are parks that have 300 sites, 500 sites, 900 sites, or 1,200 sites like we have here in Country Club Village. Now, the reason being is because these parks are already owned by the large companies. For example, Country Club Village here where I live is owned by the Wynn Corporation. That's W-Y-N-N-E. And they actually started this particular park in 1983. They built it from scratch and they still own it to this day. Now, a lot of states have been enacting different laws, okay, to protect people living in mobile home parks from being bought out. It's not as easy as some people think to buy a manufactured home park, especially here in the state of Florida. They just can't go up and put an eviction notice on your door and say, hey, you need to be out of here in 30 days. It just doesn't work, okay? Anybody that's been a landlord and has tried to evict somebody knows that it's a very complicated and time-consuming process that could actually take months, okay? But let's take a look at the manufactured home laws here in the state of Florida. So it's not all doom and gloom for anybody that is living in a park that's up for sale. As a matter of fact, many of those low income parks that were featured in a lot of the different videos, the residents did have the opportunity to purchase those parks and successfully did so.
That wish came true.
We are buying the West Side Mobile Home.
The resident's second offer was accepted, and
there's a whole section in this law right over here at section 723.071. Well, forget about all of that. Take a look. It's on page 34. And if you guys are interested in reading these laws, I'm going to go ahead and post a link to this particular document in the description center. But this concerns the sale of mobile home parks here in the state of Florida. Okay, now listen to this carefully. Okay, I'm gonna just enlarge this a little bit here. Maybe you could read it. Okay, if a mobile home park owner offers a mobile home park for sale, she or he shall notify the officers of the homeowners association, okay, of the offer, stating the price and terms and conditions of the sale. B, the mobile homeowners by and through the association defined in shall have the right to purchase the park provided the homeowners meet the price and terms and conditions of the mobile home park owner by executing a contract with the park within 45 days, unless agreed to otherwise from the date of mailing of the notice. And so let me explain to you how this works, okay? So let's say, for example, another company wanted to buy this particular park off of the Wind Company. What they have to do is they have to present their best offer, okay? And then once they do, the Wind Company has to notify our HOA. And we're fortunate enough to have an HOA, and we do retain legal counsel too, which is nice. And this is a big advantage of living in one of these larger parks versus the smaller parks that don't have these HOAs or legal counsel. But anyway, okay, they have to present that offer to our HOA, and then our HOA has to tell us, hey, listen, the park is up for sale. This is the price of the park. We have the opportunity to buy it. So we would actually have to take a vote with all the residents, and we would need at least a 51% approval in order to proceed. So then we would have to decide whether or not we want to meet that particular price. So the company that's offering to buy the park, they can't come back during that 45 days and say, well, hey, listen, you know, we decided we're going to offer you another $250,000. No, they can't do that. They can come down in price, okay? They're allowed to do that, but they're not allowed to go up in price. So let's say that the residents have decided to purchase the park, and the HOA goes and tells the Wind Company, yes, you know, we're willing to meet, okay, those particular terms. Now the Wind Company can decide whether or not they want to sell the park back to the residents, okay, which most of the time does happen, or if they want to sell it to the other company. Now, I believe, and again, I could be mistaken, I'm not a lawyer and I didn't read into all the legalities, but I do believe that if the Wind Company were to accept our deal, that first company cannot come back and say, oh, well, hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and offer you $250,000 more. I don't think there's any negotiations anymore. They had to make their best deal at the onset of this entire thing. So now what happens, okay? All right, well, now there are large financial entities and banks, okay, that will purchase the park on behalf of the residents, okay? And then obviously the residents would have to go ahead and purchase their part of the land. Now, it may not be as bad as it sounds, and I'll tell you why, is because right now I'm paying $745 in lot rent. Now, if the park was owned by the residents, there would be no lot rent. We would just have HOA fees, obviously, you know, to maintain the park. So instead of spending $745, we might end up with an HOA of, say, maybe $300 or $350. So that $450, $450 that I'm paying, that difference, okay, I could use to go ahead and take out a mortgage on the land or whatever these particular institutions have to offer. And again, you know, Christina covers this in her video, and you might want to go and watch her video again just so you get a full understanding. But there are entities, there are financial institutions that will buy the park on behalf of the residents and then finance it for them. So how do you avoid the pitfalls of falling into a park that could eventually be sold? Well, the first word of advice I have is to avoid the very small parks. Avoid the mom and pop type parks that have the really cheap lot rent. So when people always ask me about lot rents, the only answer I could give you is that you get what you pay for, just like anything else. You get what you pay for, okay? So how much income should you have versus lot rent? Well, I always tell people to live comfortably, you should take the lot rent and multiply it by 5. That should give you the amount of income that you have. So for example, here in Country Club Village, if the lot rent is $700, multiply that by 5, you're at $3,200. And again, I feel that an income of $3,000 or more, okay, would make you very comfortable in this park. And again, it all depends on how much debt you're bringing with you too. I mean, if you got 3 car payments and huge medical bills or something, that could make a difference. But I mean, if you're prepared for retirement, okay, then I think $3,000 would be the right number for you. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't do it for under $3,000. I think for as little as $2,500 to $3,000, yeah, you could still make it work here in Country Club Village and enjoy your retirement. Now, if you're making less than $2,500, okay, I don't think Country Club Village would be the park for you. You might want to look at a smaller park, okay, say in that $500 a month range lot rent. I think you would be more comfortable there. And believe me, there's a lot of nice parks out there in that particular price range. But you know, it gets really hairy when you start getting under 2,000. I get emails and phone calls from people they tell me, well, I only get 1,200 a month, I only get 1,600 a month, and you know, again, I don't want to be insensitive to people, okay, but when you're in that type of a monthly income where you just have like Social Security and that's all you have, okay, you're not actually looking for affordable retirement, okay? What you're actually looking for is low income housing. And again, this is a problem that's not just down here in Florida, it's all over the country. There's just not a lot of housing for low income people. And you know what? If you are one of these people, you know, and as a last resort, you have to move into one of these smaller parks, okay, that have the $250 lot rent, $275 lot rent. If that's the best you could do, then by all means go ahead and do so. But again, it's going to put you at a higher risk, okay, of getting bought out or having your lot rent jacked up by an investor if the park does get bought. So everybody, that's my take, okay? Please don't be too hard on me. You can be critical if you have ideas or if you have other thoughts concerning this. If you've run into this situation, really, I read every comment that gets posted on all of our videos. I try to reply to as many as I possibly can. Please post your comments on the bottom. And again, I want to thank you for stopping. I hope you found this to be somewhat informative, but you know, again, this is just my opinion, my take on the state of things down here. I don't want to discourage anybody from moving to Florida. This is still probably one of the best decisions that I ever made in my entire life, and I hope it's one decision too that you would be happy to make. So again, everybody, take care. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.